hello, and welcome back again to Yahusha's Call. Yahushua HaMashiach welcomes you, and so do I. We're going to get right into the word about who are the real Jews. Who are they? And we learned from episode 1 that there are both those who have converted to Judaism, and then we also know there are Semitic or bloodline from Abraham Jews. And we're trying to show you there's a difference that you would understand when you hear the word, what it means, because there is a lot of confusion. I'm not going to go back over the points of the 12 tribes of Israel, and that one of the tribes is Judah, of which I am from. I am a black Hebrew. I am an Israelite of the tribe of Judah. And how do I know that? Because my ancestors, I know for sure my great-grandmother, she was a slave. Our people came over the transatlantic slave trade. And we worked the fields here in this country because not so much venom for the Caucasian race, but because we were under a curse from our ancestors who were fleeing Israel, who actually settled in parts of Africa. And when the slave trade began, it was the Hamites, the Africans, who sold us. The same thing happened in Egypt. Remember, our ancestors were slaves in Egypt because of their disobedience. They were taken to Babylon because of their disobedience. We have been scattered throughout this earth, but the reason I know that Judah, most of those people are here in America. Why? Because we know that Western the African coastline, the Gold Coast, the Slave Coast, those slaves that were sold were refugees from Israel who settled in Africa. Africa, which really it's Kemet or Eden or so many other names, was their place of refuge, just like it was in the day of Yahusha, when Herod was out to kill the baby Messiah. The angel told Joseph, take the baby to where? To Egypt. And that's where he stayed. But it just didn't begin there. He took him there because he blended. If he was a Caucasoid or Caucasian, person, he would not have fit in Egypt. Egypt at that time was a black nation. Well, the same thing happened many years before that. For instance, Abraham, he went to Egypt. Joseph went to Egypt. And if his brothers recognized him, did they? No, they did not, because they blended in. A lot of people, as we started off in the first program, think that Shemites are something other than they were. Shemites were people of many other colors. We talked about that. Go back and listen to show number 1, and find out what we talk about when it comes to the Hamites, which were the African nations, the Shemites, which were of many nations, and Japheth, which was of Asian nation. You need to understand that. People have been saying something that's not true. All right, now I want to go back over to some of the same things, so please go back and pick up session 1 and session 2. All right, now let's talk home talk. Let's talk to my brothers and my sisters here in this country, and if you're abroad and you're hearing this particular talk, then I'm talking to you too. If you would understand who the true Israelites were, then you would have a different idea of what your life should emulate from, where you should be getting your life from. When you have a blood culture, which we didn't have before this information, this is a God thing, this is a Yah thing, yes it is, then you have a responsibility. See, a lot of people don't like to walk in truth because they don't really like responsibility. All right? Because then once you find out the truth, you have to do something. I call truth a crossroad. To me, it's like you get to a place in your life where you recognize the truth. And once you recognize it, it expects you to move, expects you to do something about it. You just cannot sit idly by truth. Truth will make you get up and move or reject it. Get up and move to comply with it or reject it and turn your back on it. I am here as one crying in a wilderness, telling you, along with many other prophets that have been sent, not false prophets, true prophets, that are telling you who you are. Wake up. Search for yourself. This is the information age. There is nothing that I'm saying to you today that you cannot verify and find out that and more if you would take the time out to do the research. The word of Yah tells us to what? Seek. That sounds like effort. Seek, and you shall find. Knock. That sounds like effort, and the door will be open to you. Things aren't going to just drop. He said, ask, and they will be given. If you want truth, ask, study, seek, knock. Ask, study, seek, knock, and you shall find it. But the one truth, the whole truth, is found in Yahushua, the Messiah, the Holy One of Israel. It is him who is truth. He said in the last times, he said, there's coming a time, he told the woman at the well, he said that there will be people that will serve Yahuah Alohim in spirit and in truth. There's one thing to get all spiritual and maybe even a little emotional, but there's another thing to find truth and walk therein. Because you see, there were 5 foolish virgins and 5 wise virgins. Both of them had lamps. All of them had lamps, I should say. All of them did. All of them had oil in their lamps. All of them were waiting on the bridegroom. But what was the difference? The 5 foolish were not prepared for the long haul. And you cannot prepare for the long haul. You're going to run out if you don't get everything Yahuwah has set for you to get. He said understanding, knowledge, revelation. Ask for it. Wisdom. Pray for it because you need it. It's not enough to know the basics. I don't know, like Paul said, the rudimentaries, the basics, the laying on of hands, the baptisms and all of the like is good if we have time for it. But you know what? We got to chew some meat. We got to be ready to move out, troops. Troops are not going to fight long on milk. Give some troops some milk and tell them to go fight and see how long they last. You got to give them something that's going to set up and their bellies and begin to send nourishment out to their body. Milk goes straight through you. But meat will set up there for a while and give you some strength and give you some energy. We need to get off of this milk of self-success and money and these false prophecies and false prophets alike, that are not teaching the children of Yah who they really are, that are not telling them that you came over on slave ships because you were sold by African people, because you were not African people, you were Negroes. You were living in a land of Negroes. It was called Negro land. You came over here on ships, bound in chains, because your father told you if you didn't behave yourself and do his commandments, that he was going to do just that. And that's exactly what happened to you. He was going to send you to Egypt again. I could pull out scripture after scripture, but it would take up all the time. This is not a classroom. This is announcement time. This is wake up, shake yourself time. This is time to realize that you are a people that have been set apart. But some of you will continue to choose to live like the heathens, to live like the pagans. You will choose that, and your fate will be the same. Your fate will be the same. There's one thing about it. If you're going to suffer something in this world, it ought to be for Yah. It ought to be for him whose heart and life you have given. You have given him. It ought to be because you're a person of truth. It ought to be because you're a person who loves Yahusha with all of your heart, with all of your mind, with all of your soul. It should be that you're going to suffer. It should be for that reason. Some of us are suffering just because our skin is dark. Okay, I'll suffer for that, but let me suffer for Yahusha because my skin is dark. That's all right. You've got to learn that you weren't just put on this earth as a little spot for no reason. That there's a purpose. The purpose is to know Yahusha. To know Yahusha is to know Abba. Abba, Father. Abba, Yahuah Elohim, your creator. Through Yah, his salvation, he saved you. He put, at least those who have acknowledged his salvation. The rest of us who have not done so need to do it now because the time is closing. The door is almost shut on the Gentile nations. You wake up. Let me tell you a little bit about how Yahusha was from Judah and that Paul was from Benjamin and John the Baptist was a Levite. How come all of these knew who they were, but you don't know? Coming from Africa is not enough. Where at in Africa did you come from? What were your people doing in Africa? What type of trade did they have? What were they doing? Do you know? It is not enough to say I was sold as a slave and shipped to America or to England or to South America or to the islands. No, you must know that you were in the Great Diaspora, 70 AD, and that your people migrated into Africa. And that from there, from Israel, they were migrated and lived with their own customs in a foreign land. And therefore, when the slave trade happened, they were vulnerable to be sold into slavery. That's the truth. Knowing that I am an Israelite tells me where I'm from. Knowing that I am of the tribe of Judah tells me of my purpose. And knowing that I am a strange land tells me that my ancestors, your ancestors, failed to obey the commandments of Yah and began to worship idols of every nature and every culture. It's good to know that we are the people of Yah. It's good to know that, but to know it means there's a responsibility. Deuteronomy 28:64. It reads this way. And Yahuwah shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, as we got into on last week, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. We talked on that on the last program. Deuteronomy 28:66, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. We have no assurance of our lives. Our children are being slain in the streets. Gang warfare is taking children, even the innocent ones. Our penal system is unjust. We don't know the news tomorrow. There are those who break laws, and there are those who are innocent of breaking the law, but all suffer. All suffer. You have no assurance of your life as a person of color, especially Hebrews. I always wanted to know why I was hated just for my color. Well, I found out it's not because people just hated me for my color. Satan hated me because of whose I was. It's like all this time we've been walking around with a target on our back and can't figure out why we keep feeling darts. The Gentiles were fulfilling the curse that had been laid upon us, our ancestors, from disobedience. Read 28. I'm just going to read a little bit more on it. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. And the 67th verse says, in the morning that thou shalt say, would God it were evening. I wish it was. That in the morning you wanted to hurry up and be night. And in the evening you shall say, would God it was morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. The suffering of our people on this land, gator babies, feeding young black babies to alligators, raping men, women, children, pedophiles that own slaves. What do you think they did with those babies? Not all of them were pedophiles, but those who were. The disregard for human life, the tragedies one after the other. This is not to provoke you to anger or make you hate, but this is for you to get serious about finding out why, so that we as a people can be exalted. We can be lifted up again. We can come out of the curse. When you put your life in the hands of Yahushua with knowledge, not just blind faith, but with knowledge, knowledge will cause you to act. And their actions will cause you to believe and trust him. It will, why? Because you'll be doing his commandments, what he has asked you to do, and it will breed truth, more truth into your life. The more truth you receive, the more truth you implement, the more truth you receive is what I'm trying to say. And in Deuteronomy 28:68 it says, and the Lord, or Yahuwah, shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. No one will buy you out of that situation. The only people that went on slave ships were blacks, Haitians, Jamaicans during the transatlantic slave trade. So, I'm telling you that also Indians and indigenous people on North, Central, and South America, like Guatemalans, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, American Negroes, are the real Israelites. Yes, so who are those people in Israel today? And I told you who they were first. One curse stated we would never see our land again. Also, we would never, ever see war when we are in our land. We're not in our land. We are in a land of our captors. I know we have Fifth Amendment, but it is an emancipation. It is a proclamation. It has not really come to fruition. We are living in a strange land, in a strange time. We are not the people of this land. We are the people of the land of Israel, if you meet the criteria from which I've spoken. Take it upon yourselves to find out, because I'm going to be talking about this from now on. Because where someone may not hear it today, someone will pick it up tomorrow. Someone will take this word and they will begin to spread it. It's already spreading like wildfire. But I do want to, don't have you to speculate. I am not one of those who believe in violence or insulting people, because that is not the love of Yah. No. Those who say they're Hebrew Israelites and just want to fuss and cuss and get angry, something's wrong. My brothers need to come to themselves, humble themselves before Yah, repent of that kind of behavior, and start living the life that they talk about. It's one thing to stand on a corner and yell at people, even though much of it's what they're saying is true. I'm not going to deny that, but it has to be done in love. Yes, it does. Because, see, Yah is love. So we don't have to hate nobody. That's the glory of freedom. You don't have to hate. You love everybody that you can. You hate the sin. You hate the things that people do. But you can walk with your head up and smile because you're free. Why? The truth have made you free. You know who you are. You know whose you are. You know that now. You're coming into reality. You've been living in a falsehood. You've been living in a lie. You've been told you're no good. Your folks are no good. You'll never be no good. You didn't know your royalty. You had no idea that it was blacks who rule the world in every nation. Study it. Study to show yourself approved. Know who you are. Know that you're the seed of Abraham. If you did have a background in slavery, there's usually no doubt that you are from the tribe of Judah. And I did give all of my other brothers and sisters their time, too. On the very first program, we talked about the 12 tribes coming from everywhere, from Guatemala to Mexico to American Indians, Gad, and all the rest of it. Go back and listen. We're calling ourselves together not to be separate, not to be some kind of renegade group, but we're saying we're coming together in love to acknowledge whose we are. And we're going to come in love, but we're going to keep coming. See, we're not going to stop. We're going to keep coming. And then one day, there's going to be a miracle that's going to take place in the hearts of his people. He's going to save us. He's going to save us in more ways than you can imagine. He's going to save us from ourselves. He's going to save us from the enemy. He's going to save us from the Gentiles. He's going to save us from the devil. He's saving us from everything. We're going to walk and talk with Yahushua for eternity as his people, along with the Gentile converts who become his children too. See, we're all, Jew and Gentile, in Yahushua shall be one. But that has no excuse for us not knowing our lineage, because we come down through many generations to be at this place. And it must be recognized. And it must be known and understood. Because what's coming upon this world, you will be glad you know who you are. Teach it to your children. Teach it to your boys and your girls. Teach it everywhere you go. We are the people of Yah. We are the people of Yah. And it does not yet appear what we shall be. But we do know that when he shall appear, and all of his bronzeness, we shall be like him. He's coming soon. And don't be dismayed on what you hear over the news and what you all of the derogatory things that are going on in this world. You keep your mind and your eye fixed upon him. For he says, when you see these abominations and these trials and these troubles and tribulations come, he said, look up. Your redemption draws nigh. When the earth quakes, when the storms roar, when the waves roar, know that there is a God in heaven, Yahuah Alohim, who sits high and looks low and is concerned about you and about me. Put on the whole armor. Put it all on. Don't half step with this. This is life or death. You that are of peace shall see Yah. Yes, you will. And we will be those that people can come and rely on to give them the truth, for we are the lights of the world. I love him. I pray you do too. Give your heart to him. Give your life to him. Ask him to save you. I can't save you. Yahusha. Call out to him. He can. I'm going to let you go until next time. Study the word. Study to find out who you are. And then worship him with your whole heart, your whole mind, and your whole body. Give him everything. He's worth it. Till next time, you go with him. Yah, he goes with you.